So start to take a couple of easy breaths, whatever that means for you. And just start to pay attention. So you're shifting your attention from wherever else it was in your environment to your breath. So let's do that first. And after you've taken a couple of breaths where you've paid attention to your breathing, the next step is to drop into sensing mode. It's a little bit of an internal check-in. What am I feeling? What emotionally am I aware of? What am I hearing in my environment? What am I smelling in my environment? And you don't have to do all of them. It's not a checklist, but it's getting out of your head and getting into the senses. So we're focused on breathing, and then we've dropped into sensing mode. And then we put those two things together. So while you're in sensing mode, can you also focus on your breathing? And any breath style will do, of course, although we have been working a little bit on breathing in and out through the nose and lengthening the breath out. So if either of those feels right for you today, give those a try. And let's take 2 more mindful breaths, focused on your breath in sensing mode. Excellent. And then coming on back, opening your eyes. Good. I'm just going to check quickly. Sarah, did you get the link? You get, okay, good. Let's get into our opening sequence. So now, part of being in sensing mode is to feel our bodies in connection with Mother Earth. So the way that we've done that in yoga class is to find our sitting bones there, or if you're sitting on a chair, you're feeling your sit bones on the chair or your sit bones on the floor. And if you're on a chair, your feet are grounding you to the earth. And so feel any of the parts of you that are pulled by gravity down towards our Mother Earth, your connection to ground. And again, that's another way of getting into sensing mode, pulling ourselves out of the thinking place and into the feeling, sensory, grounded place. We also like to lengthen our spines and loosen our shoulders and our necks. And from that grounded, seated position, I invite you to take the thumb of one hand into the palm of the other and inhale as you raise your arms up. Keep your shoulders low and breathe out, either through the nose or the mouth, your choice. Breathing in through the nose. And a long breath out. Hands together, warming up those fingers. 2 breaths. full extension. And then hands behind the neck or in front, your choice. Full extension to breathe in. And mindfully feel the sensation of moving your hands towards your heart as you breathe out. And stay mindful for this breath at the heart. You may bring your hands down. I'm laughing because Stevie's drinking water in the background, and I don't know if you're hearing that, but you might be. If there's weird gurgling sounds, they're not coming from me, they're coming from my dog. Let's lengthen the long arms. Keep the shoulders low. And lift one ear towards the sky. And 2 long breaths. Breathing in, maybe aware of the diaphragm being involved. And then a long, slow breath out. Two breaths per side. After the 2 breaths, go to the other side. And we'll get to do both sides twice. So if it's feeling good and you know you want more, you'll get more. We get to do it twice. Each side again. The idea here is the head is just hanging. This is no effort. It's just allowing the neck an opportunity to passively stretch. Long breath out each time. And to the final side. Excellent. Now we'll take our heads side to side, but we're going to do it in a little slightly different way today. I invite you to hold one arm up using the other arm. We've done this one as an alternate sometimes to eagle. You're going to pull your arm across the body gently, keeping your shoulders low. And then we're going to take the head to look over to the side wall. So I am pulling my right arm over, I'm using my right arm to pull my left arm over. And I'm looking over the shoulder that's getting the tug. So I'm looking towards the left for 2 breaths. It doesn't really matter. You could try looking each direction to see if one gives you a better stretch or not. Couple of breaths. Then return the head to center. Change with the arms. So I'm now using my left hand to hold up my right elbow and to pull my right arm across my body. Dropping both shoulders. And I'm looking over towards the right. 2 breaths. Return the head to center, let the arms go. Arms can be extended once again, and drop the chin towards your chest. Releasing the back of the neck here for 3 breaths. And walking the eyes across the floor, up the opposite wall, across the ceiling, just as far as your eyes and your neck want to take you. And then keeping your jaw gently released as you open your mouth to breathe. And walking the eyes back. With 2 more breaths with your chin on your chest. And float your head back to center. If you're seated, you're going to rest one arm across your lap while you bring the other arm up to your ear. If you prefer to be standing, that's all good. Instead of resting your arm across your lap, if you're standing, you'll be pushing the hand against the waist or the hip. Let's breathe in and get longer. We're expanding ourselves through the side of the rib cage, all the way through the fingertips, and breathing. And then your body knows what it likes here. So maybe you like to go into more of a side bend, or maybe you like to keep reaching upward, skyward. Your choice. And breathe. Bring it back to center and change sides. Other arm up. Reaching. First up, and then over. Breathing in through the nose and all the way out through the mouth. These full breaths out. Back to center. Reach one arm forward, the other arm off to the side, and drop your shoulders down so you've made as much space between your ears and your shoulders as you can. We're going to do a couple of things today. Our twist is what we do in this pose, but once we've engaged in the twist, I'm also going to invite you to reach a little more through the fingers. So right now, your shoulders are nice and low. As soon as you reach more, the shoulders have a tendency to want to creep. So see if you can do both things. Reach the arms out from one arm's front, one arm's reaching side, and keep the shoulders low while you look past your side fingers and take the twist towards the back. And breathe. And change. Other arms. So the one that was pointed side is now forward. Drop the shoulders down. Reach through those fingers while you drop the shoulders down. Look past the side fingers. Take that little twist towards the back. And 2 big breaths. Excellent. Into seated eagle here, one arm across the body, the other arm wraps way underneath. Maybe the fingers of one hand touch the palm of the other with your thumbs pointed at your nose. Again, the shoulders are low, the elbows are pulled away from the chest, and breathe. And if this doesn't work for your arms today, you can do the one we did a little earlier, holding up the one arm, using the other, and giving a little tug so you get that shoulder stretch. Neck is easy. And change sides, other arm goes across. Find whatever position works best for your body today. If you can, pull your elbows away from your chest for 3 breaths. Let that go and bring those hands behind you. Interlace your fingers. Pull your wrists apart from each other. Straighten your elbows if that works. And lift your arms up and away from the body for 3 breaths. And notice what you feel and where you feel it. We're breathing out fully each breath out. Release that, give yourself a hug. And we're going to add to our hug today. So you've got one arm on top of the other, got the shoulders low. We're also going to tip the chin towards the chest for another opportunity to stretch the back of the neck. And then go into a gentle little hugging motion, rocking back and forth. Just breathe easily, any way you'd like to breathe. Raise the head up and change the arms so that the other arm is on top. Drop the chin towards the chest and rock back and forth gently. Breathe easy. Lift the head up, release the arms. Wonderful job. Let's come to standing, please. And I'd encourage you to have the chair close by, and I'll show you how we're going to use it here. And feel free to have a sip of water on your way to standing. So I've got my chair anchored where at least 2 of the legs, at least the 2 front legs, are on the mat so that they're not going to slide around. I'm just going to adjust the camera. Try that. So you may want to position your chair anywhere in the room. Maybe you need to anchor it against, so it's the back of the chair is against a wall or whatever you need so the chair is not going to slide. We're going to use the beginning part of sun salutation as a flow practice today. So those of you who have done lots of sun salutations know that it starts with standing tall. We'll be lifting our arms and then heading down into a forward release. Sometimes there's a halfway lift. We'll show that too. And then instead of doing the part where you step back and put your hands on the floor, we're going to step back with our hands on the chair. That's the difference today. So we won't do the full sun salutation, but we'll do a modified part 1. And we're going to do it several times in a row. So if you don't get it the first time, you'll have lots more times to get it. I'm going to let go of my socks, so I've got a little bit of grip when I'm stepping back, holding the chair. So I invite you to face the chair, but I'm not right beside it, right? When we're using the chair, we're going to be putting our hands onto it with our bums pulled back for a simulated downward dog. So I don't want to be too close or too far, just enough where I can reach the chair. That's where I'd like you to stand. And of course, plant your feet well. Lift up your 5 toes and lay them down one at a time so you can feel your foot connecting you to the earth. And same thing on the other side. Feel the 4 corners of each foot grounding you. Bend your knees a little. Lengthen your spine a lot. If you need to do a couple of shoulder rolls here to release them, please do, any direction. And then lift those shoulders way up to your ears and then keep them going all the way around so that now the shoulder blades are dripping down your back as you stand tall here in mountain pose and take a couple of breaths. Big open heart. Bring your hands together at your heart to begin our sun salutation. And let's take one breath here, hands at heart. Breathing out fully, all the way out. And on your next breath in, lift those arms up towards sky. Contract your core to support a little gentle back bend, a little reaching back behind you. You're still on your breath in. And then as you breathe out, bend your knees and start to fold forward like we would for a forward release, but we're not taking it quite as slowly. Breathing all the way out. When you're ready to breathe in, put your hands halfway up your shins and start to lengthen from your tailbone all the way up to your skull. So a nice long spine. Eyes are maybe gazing a little bit diagonally forward, kind of like at the top of your mat. And when you're ready to breathe out, forward fold again. Then lift up enough that you can grab your hands onto the sides of the chair and step back with your legs. It's the same as if we had our hands on the ground. So anyone who doesn't have a chair, have your hands on the ground instead and step back. Take a breath here. Maybe you're starting to feel some lengthening through the backs of the legs. You might even do that little bicycle move where you press one heel towards the floor at a time and just breathe as you need to here. So in a sun salutation, we do an upward facing dog or a cobra, some kind of a low back extension. To do that with the chair, we're simply going to take our weight forward, kind of like a plank, right? We're holding body weight, shoulders over hands that are anchored on the chair. And then by bringing our hips towards the chair, we can make that little back bend shape, starting to lift the eyes. Open through the chest, breathe in, and push those hips back, breathing out. Step both legs forward to where the feet started for you, and hang again in your forward release. Contract your core and start to rise up. And if you can coordinate breathing into that back bend as you lift your arms above your head, contracted core supports you as you lean back. And breathing out, bringing hands back to heart. Good, so we're gonna do all of that 2 more times and we'll get into a flow. So it's a little less talking for me and more moving for me. Take a breath here with hands at heart. Contract your core and breathe into an extended arm back bend. As you breathe out, bend your knees and forward fold. As you breathe in, lift your hands halfway up your shins and extend a long back, tailbone to the base of the skull. Forward fold, breathing out. Lift your hands onto the sides of the chair or put your hands right down on the floor and step your legs back. Full breath here, in and out. Then finding your way so that your shoulders are above your wrists and hands. And then bringing your hips towards the front of the chair into a variation of upward dog. Lifting the eyes, opening the heart, breathing in. And then returning to push, arms long, pushing the hips away from the chair. Maybe the heels touch the floor, full breath in and out. Step back to where the feet started. Dangle in a forward release. Contract your core, start to rise. On your next breath in, take it up into that back bend. And breathe out, hands to heart. One more round. Full breath here. When you're ready to breathe in, back bend, open arms behind you. Bend your knees, forward fold, breathe out. Lift hands halfway up to shins. Lengthen your spine, breathing in. Forward fold, breathe out. Place hands on chair or floor and step back. Hips as far from the chair as you can get them. Arms long, full breath in and out. Then shifting so that your shoulders are above your wrists. You're taking some weight. And as you breathe in, you're bringing your hips towards the chair into a back bend shape as you lift your eyes and lift your heart, breathing in. Breathe out, push those hips away from you. Step back to where the feet began. Dangle here and forward release. Breathe as you need to. Contract your core and start to rise. When you're ready to breathe in, take it up into this last back bend. And hands to heart, breathing out. One last full breath, in and out, hands at heart. Excellent job. Grab a sip of water and take a moment. Drop into sensing mode. What do you feel now that we've done that? There's no judgment of the answer. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it feels good or bad, anything, you're just noticing. So the chair might be helpful. We're about to do one balance pose and then our usual series of the runner stretch into warrior so that we start to open up through our hips. If you're someone who struggles with balance or finds some of those standing poses a challenge, maybe keep the chair. If you're feeling like, nah, I'm good, then you're welcome to push the chair out of the way. Let's stand and cross one leg over the other. Good. I've got my right leg crossed over my left. That means I'm going to take my right hand, the same hand as the knee that's in front, and tuck it into an imaginary back pocket on the other side of me. That might give you just a gentle shoulder stretch here. Now we're going to do a little tip. So to stay balanced, we want to keep all four corners of both feet anchoring us to floor as we keep an eye focus and tip. If you're doing the same as me, then you're tipping towards the left. You should be tipping the direction of whatever leg is in behind. So for me, my left leg is behind, so I'm tipping towards the left and breathing. And noticing. Come on back to center. Change legs by crossing the other one over. So I now have my left leg crossed over my right, which means I'm taking my left hand over into an imaginary back pocket on the opposite side of the body. And I'm tipping the other way, eyes focused, 3 breaths. Beautiful. Stand back up. Shake all of that out. So that's a balance pose that gets into the hips, at least for some of us. Runner stretch next, and I'm going to begin with my left leg today. So if you're trying to follow sides, you also could step forward with your left leg. Either way, we're going to do a bunch of these on one side. We're going to do a bunch on the other. Find your balance. So we want the 4 corners of the front foot anchoring us to the earth. With the back foot, I'm up on the ball of the foot or the toes, and I've got all my hips pointed forward. If that doesn't work for you, find a better way. And today we're going to take our arms up overhead and open them into a V shape. So the palms face each other, shoulders low, heart nice and open. And let's hold 3 breaths here as you explore what you're feeling in your whole hip and pelvic region. Breathing out fully, each breath out. Now, planting the back foot into the warrior position. So it's 45 degrees. If you drew a line from the heel of your front foot, left for me, through to the other foot, it would line up with the instep. That allows us to come into warrior, bringing our arms down, shoulders low, bending, for me it's the left leg, whatever leg you had forward. That's the knee that bends. Again, so we're exploring, what are you feeling here in your hips, your groin, your inner thighs, maybe 3 breaths. Nice low shoulders, looking past the fingers of the hand that's hovering over the bent knee. Breathing out fully each time. And imagining that back wall behind us, keeping points of contact as many as possible as you tip. Resting your forearm on the thigh of the bent knee, bringing the other arm way overhead to get as long as you can through this top side, but also as long as you can through the underside of the ribs. And 3 breaths. What do you feel in your hips, inner thighs, pelvic region? What do you notice? And reach one hand all the way up. The other arm can go reaching for floor if the back is strong, or can remain supported on the bent leg if you need a little extra support. 3 more breaths. Head can turn any way that's comfortable for your neck. Maybe that's just looking straight ahead. Or see how it is to look down. And how is it to look up? Because maybe you'll find a position that gives you just a gentle stretch for the neck. And let's take that top hand and swish it past your face. If you're using the chair, that helps you from having to go down all the way to the floor. Now's a good time. If you're comfortable taking the hands all the way to the floor, then they'll land beside your foot and you'll turn all your toes to face forward. 3 more breaths. You can adjust the distance between your feet so that you're getting the stretch that you feel good about through your hips. Then we're bringing the back knee down onto the mat. You're welcome to add a cushion, put a little blanket or your socks underneath your knee for a little extra support. Point the back toes if that feels okay. Scoot the front toes forward a bit. And we're going to hang out here for a good long while. This is our opportunity to really notice what's happening in the whole hip region and to release it. So every breath out is an opportunity to release. Notice if there's areas of resistance here. You don't have to push anywhere beyond your limits. Of course, your body will tell you how much to do. But if there's an area of resistance, I really invite you to put some attention there for a couple of breaths. Just explore it. Don't force anything. Just notice what's happening there and notice if you can breathe into the tight area. And let's walk our hands back towards the back knee so that we can lengthen the front leg. I'm trying to get our hips along the same line so that both our front hip bones are equally pointed forward. And breathe as you lengthen this front leg. And then see how it is to point the toes towards the earth for a breath. And to flex the foot, really bringing the toes towards your nose. Excellent. If you're okay to come to your knees and settle back, sitting back, hips over heels for a moment. That gives us a nice opportunity for a thigh stretch. 1 breath. We're going to do all of those poses on the other side. So return to standing. One way to do that is to get yourself into the squatting position and then come to standing. So it was my left leg forward that whole time. So I'm now going to use my right leg. Whatever leg you didn't use last time is now the forward one. Finding the 4 corners of the front foot, maybe the ball of the foot and the back foot, all hips pointed forward, exploring how it feels on this side. Lifting those arms up into a V shape, palms facing each other for 3 breaths. Shoulders low. Planting the back foot into warrior position. So 45-degree angle. Bending the knee of the front foot, dropping the arms so that they're each hovering over one side. And we've shifted the hips. Instead of everything pointed forward towards the bent knee, we've opened the hips up now. Bending the knee as much as you wish, looking past your side fingers as you breathe. Taking a little tip so that your forearm rests on the thigh of your bent knee. Taking the other arm overhead and reaching, getting long on both sides of the rib cage. And as you breathe here, let's also explore the neck. See how it is to look up a little or to look down a little here. Is there a right place for your head and neck today? Reach the top hand skyward. The bottom hand is optional, can stay supported here or reach forward. Again, explore the position of the head and neck and keep breathing. Also noticing the hips on this side. What do you notice? Where are you feeling sensation? Take that top hand and swish it past your face. Either you're using the chair and grabbing on here, or you're bringing your hands all the way down to the floor, turning all your toes to face forward, finding the right distance between your feet so that you really do feel a stretch somewhere. For me, it's in my hip flexor and a little bit into the inner thigh. It might be somewhere totally different for you. Full breathing out each time. Drop the back knee down. Find any cushion that you need to there to support it. Point the back toes. Scoot the front toes forward. And find your best spot. So this is an opportunity, because we're going to stay here extra long, to drop into sensing mode. Really notice, what are you feeling? What are you sensing? And can breath be a little bit of an aid to staying mindful here and to releasing any tight areas? Good. Let's walk those hands back towards the back knee, lengthening the front leg, dragging the heel back as much as needed so that you have hip bone equality. And breathing here. Perhaps pointing the toes for a breath. Relaxing the foot for a breath. Excellent. We're going to flip onto laying on our backs. So we're going to do a few core strengtheners here. So find your way to lying on your back. Move anything out of the way, because we are going to use our bodies fully extended. We have our legs out. So we want the room. And let's take a moment to allow the ground to hold us up. Mindful as you savor if this feels good. So we're going to do a couple of things here. The first one is not a core strengthener, but rather is a stretch for these hip flexors that we've been working on today. I invite you to bring one knee in towards your chest. And if it works for you, extend the other leg fully outstretched on the ground. That's the move. We're just going to hold here. So the leg is lying all the way on the floor. It's supported by the ground. We've pulled the other knee in. We're keeping the shoulders low from the ears. And take 3 breaths as you just allow noticing what's happening in the body the longer you hold here. You're doing great. Hold there for the 3 breaths. And we'll simply change sides now. Bring the other knee in towards the chest. Lengthen the other leg out. Notice if this is the same or feels different at all from the first side. And 3 breaths. Allow that long leg to be heavy for this last breath. Good, and then hug both knees in towards your chest. Take a moment there. Rock side to side if that feels good. That massage in the low back. We'll go back to the first side, but now we're making it a core strengthener in a very subtle way. So we're going to hug the first knee back into the chest, lengthen the other leg back out, but instead of laying it on the ground, it's going to hover off the ground about 1 inch. And that allows our low abdominals to get involved in holding that leg up and to get a little bit of strengthening. So 3 breaths here. Maybe you see if you can actively engage your Kegel as you hold. Then bring both knees in and switch sides. Other leg goes out. Same as last time. We're hovering it off the ground. The long leg hovers about 1 inch. We've activated our core. Perhaps extra activation of Kegel for the 3 breaths. Excellent. Bring both knees into the chest. Again, give a little release, a little rock back and forth. For those of us with tight hamstrings, we're just going to take a moment to stretch. So again, you've got one knee pulled into the body. We're stretching the other leg out, but this time I'm aiming more towards the sky or towards the opposite wall. And just do a few times, bringing the knee in and stretching the leg out. Bringing the knee in and stretching the leg out. Maybe while it's stretched out, try pointing and flexing, and checking in with your hamstring here. Good. So keep the same leg out. The knee that you had pulled in, just allow that foot to drop onto the floor. So the knee's still bent, but the foot is anchoring you to the mat. Point the toes of the long leg, and we're going to pretend that we've got a pencil attached to our big toe, and that we're going to draw tiny little circles using that pencil. Now, this is a very small move, and you wouldn't think it would be challenging, but I find it really challenging. And part of what we're trying to do here is stabilize all parts of our core. So everything else stays really still in the body, except for this long leg that's moving around in the hip socket. That should be the only part of you that's moving. And if you feel like you can draw those small circles okay without moving other parts, see if you can make the circle a little bigger. Not much, just a little bit. Breathe through it. And let's change directions. So it's the same leg, but we're just drawing the circle in the other direction. Notice if other parts of your body start moving. And if that's the case, make the circle a little smaller. I can see my other knee is starting to move as I get a little tired here with this leg. So I'm going to shrink my circle to just a micro circle. And let's bring that leg in. Oh, release it. And then stretch the other leg out, and let's do what we did before. A little bit of lengthening, and then bring it in. Stretch it out, bring it in. Stretch it out, and we'll point, and then we'll flex. So we've changed sides, right? We did one side drawing circles. Now we're getting ready to draw circles with the other leg. And to do that, we're going to release the leg that we're holding, releases down to the floor. So the knee is still bent, but the foot is anchored to the mat. The leg that has not drawn circles yet is already shaking for me. This is getting ready. Point the toes like you've got a little pencil attached. Still the rest of your body. And see if you can draw really small circles. We're asking a lot of the core here. Breathe. If you can keep the rest of the body still, you can make the circle a little bit bigger. That's only, again, the leg moving in the hip socket. That should be the only part that's moving. Let's change directions. Keep breathing and keep noticing. And of course, you're welcome to take breaks if this is feeling too much or not right. All right, let's bring all of that in. Hug those knees again. Rock side to side. Good. We are headed into a pigeon pose. Now, some of you find a full pigeon where we start on our hands and knees and do it from that position. Some of you will find that a bit much. And so I'll just demonstrate while we're on our backs. The alternate pigeon for you is to lengthen one leg to the floor, to grab the other leg with a hand on the ankle, other hand just below the knee, and to use it like a lever. The hands are going to pull your leg across the body so that you start to get that beautiful pigeon stretch on the, I'll switch legs so you can see, on the outside of the hip. So if you're doing the version laying on your back, you've got a hand below the knee, other hand on the ankle, you're pulling your leg across the body. If you want the full pigeon, turn over. Hands and knees. And I'll start with my right leg. You do you. Bring one knee in between your two hands. Shift your heel over a little bit so that it lines up under the opposite hip crease. Come up onto your fingertips. So again, we've got that gentle back bend shape. And we're starting to really relax, which is hard to do in this position, but we're starting with the face. Allowing any muscles of the face to let go, letting the jaw let go, making sure the neck is easy. Feeling open here through the heart. And now, if it feels good to you, you could come down maybe onto forearms, or maybe all the way resting head onto hands. And we're aiming both hips to get a little bit closer towards the floor, but it doesn't matter sort of where your hips have ended up. We're going to spend the next full minute just breathing, exploring the hips and the pelvis, and drawing breath toward any tight areas. And let's bring it back up. Beautiful. And change sides. So remembering you can do this on your back using the variation. Maybe one side needs one type and the other side needs the other type. Or you can bring the other knee in between your two hands. You can shift the heel so it lines up under your hip crease. Stretch that back leg way back. Come to your fingertips. Start to open up your heart as you drop your shoulders. Loosen your jaw. Let the shoulder blades drip down your back. Lots of space between your ears and your shoulders. And as you pay attention to your hips on this side, you make a choice of whether to stay in this upright position or if you prefer to come down onto forearms or rest your head on your hands. And let's hold and breathe, dropping into sensing mode. And gently come on back up. Excellent. Come to hands and knees for a moment. Take a moment for a cat-cow as you just check in with the body, check in with the spine. Find your breath. Wonderful. We have one more pose before Shavasana, and that's a neck strengthener today. So I invite you to get any of your warmer layers pulled together, put your socks on, grab your blanket, lay on your back. We'll do a neck strengthener and then Shavasana. Now's a good time for a sip of water as well. So the reason we do the neck strengthener, many of you will remember this, is it's a pose that strengthens the front of the neck muscles so that the back of the neck muscles don't have to work so hard and end up less sore. And so anybody who has difficulty with their neck, this is a strengthening pose that you'll want to do a little bit more often. Lay yourself fully outstretched on the floor, shoulders low. Take a moment to just release yourself here. Take a breath to let go of any tension you're still carrying. And we're going to add a little bit of strength to the front of the neck, and the way that we'll do that is in a moment, we'll take a breath and we'll lift the head. And the idea is to lift the head the tiniest amount, a couple of millimeters off the ground. So let out your air. Take a breath in. Lift the head a small amount, a couple millimeters off the floor, but tilt your chin towards your chest. Look down with your eyes and press your tongue onto the roof of your mouth. And that's the key of this pose, lots of tongue pressing. Let it go. We'll do two more. Big breath in. Lift the head a tiny bit. Tilt the chin towards the chest. Press the tongue as you look down and hold. Release the head. Let out your air. One more breath in. Lift the head. Tuck the chin. Look down and press your tongue. Release. Breathe normally and rock your head gently side to side. Good. So feel free to continue lying on your back. I'm going to sit to be able to guide you through Shavasana today. And again, notice if there are any places in the body where you're still aware of holding tension. And start to pay attention to your breathing. Today, I invite you to rest your hands on your belly. Both hands can lay on your belly in whatever form is comfortable for you. Continue to breathe. And once you've breathed a few breaths, see if you notice any sensation of rise and fall of the hands at the belly. It's the diaphragm that's moving here with the breath. So don't force it at all. Just breathe naturally. And start to notice the area of the diaphragm. We're breathing in and out through the nose today. The last 2 weeks, we've practiced breathing out a little bit longer. The last 2 weeks, we used the hiss. Today, we're just going to use breathing in and out through the nose. See if there's any ability to lengthen your breath out. So any breath in that works for you is fine. Let's see if you can slow down the breath out. Continue that way. Perhaps there'll be a little pause at the end of the breath. That's fine, if that feels natural. Continue with any breathing in that feels right and slowing down the breath out through the nose. Keep going that way. Also sensing the rise and fall of the belly and the hands. If you find your mind has wandered, just bring your attention back to the breath. And please finish up whatever breath you are currently breathing. And then simply lay your hands beside you and rest for an extra 30 seconds. No longer need to focus on the breath or on anything in particular. Just allow yourself to be. And I invite you to turn onto your side, roll onto your side, and just get comfortable there for another few moments as we transition. We will be transitioning to sitting, but not quite yet. Savor another moment of rest. Because part of what we're doing with our Shavasana is getting so good at resting. Knowing that the rest provides the balance to all of the other things that we do in our lives. So now slowly push yourself up to sitting, please. And if you're willing, bring the soles of your feet together. So pressing the soles of your feet together. Hands can be curled, interlaced around the toes, or simply rested on the ankles, whatever feels right for you. I'm going to breathe in just easy, and then as you breathe out, press your knees more open, pressing the knees towards the floor. Release them on the breath in, and press the knees open on the breath out. One more, breath in, release. Breath out, press. And lengthen the legs, shake them out for a moment. Good, and cross one leg over the other. And give a big hug to this knee that you've pulled in towards your body. And notice, I need to get rid of the cushion I'm sitting on so that you can notice your sit bones anchoring you to the ground. If you're seated on a chair at all for this part, then you can do this sitting on a chair. You can bring the leg all the way in, or you can just bring the leg to the ankle resting on the thigh of the other. If you're sitting on a chair, that might be more comfortable. You're still getting that stretch through the outside of the hip. And we'll take it into one twist by taking the same hand as your knee that is bent, reaching that hand skyward. Then taking that hand onto the inside of the front foot and planting the hand you're not using behind your hip as an anchor. Or if you're on a chair, you'd be holding the back of the chair or the side of the chair. Breathe in here, and then as you breathe out, start to slowly take a gentle twist, gazing back at your back hand. Let's hold 2 more breaths. Allowing the twist to twist our bodies for us. So we're not forcing anything. Body's inviting the twist on the breath out. And 1 more breath. And a little counter twist the other way. Shaking the legs out. Cross the other one over. Give a big hug to this knee. And a big breath in and out. Anchor your sit bones to the floor. Shoulders low, neck easy. Same hand as the knee that's bent, lifts high in the sky, breathe in. Brings the hand onto the inside of that front foot, breathing out. As you plant the free hand behind you, on the floor or on the chair. Breathe in here. And invite a gentle twist, breathing out. 2 more breaths. Gazing toward the back hand. And a counter twist the other way. Shake out those legs and come to cross-legged or any other sitting that works for you. Spine lengthen. Take the thumb of one hand into the palm of the other and inhale as you raise. Shoulders low, 2 breaths. Hands together, 2 breaths. Hands up and then behind or in front of the neck. Full extension, breathing in. Slow hands to heart, breathing out. Breath at the heart. Namaste. Thank you. The yoga teachings that I'm aware of do say that we hold a lot of emotion in our hips and our pelvis area. And so you may experience more emotion today or tomorrow. If that's true for you, you'll have a little bit of context for why. If that's not your experience, that's of course fine as well. And I'll see you next week.